So here we are, the 80s Glam Metal Cast reviewing Volume 2 of Kisstory. Got my wife here, Lori C. Lori, what did you think of Volume 2? Did you like it better than 1?
I did like it better.
Why?
I knew you were going to ask that. It just covered more of an era that I'm more familiar with.
Right. We went to, a lot of these shows that happened during this, Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's be honest, it covers a lot of ground. I mean,
does.
we've crammed about 40
Some
years
good, some bad.
into 2 hours. So let's kind of start. We get right into The Elder, 1981. I was kind of surprised that they showed as much of The Elder as they did. Weren't you kind of? I didn't.
Yeah, because it was such a train wreck that I didn't think they'd focus so much on it.
Yeah, I thought they would just kind of blow past The Elder, but I thought it was cool that they put a little bit of clips in there. One clip for fans, we've seen the Eye video, but only with like a watermark on it, and it was nice to see like it the clips in good quality with no watermark or anything like that. So that was pretty cool. There was little creatures clips that I had never seen before either, and I don't know if those came from local news, because a lot of times the local news would record the beginning of the show, but there's definitely one where they're on the tank, and it's definitely something I had never seen before. And I think the night flight interview, I mean, I've watched that on YouTube, but the quality was definitely different. So, and honestly, there was a lot of outtakes of photos, and I don't know if they were for the Creatures tour book or what they were for, but a lot of cool outtakes that I had never seen before. Now we get to the point where then we get to the point where Kiss unmasked on MTV. And one thing, and Laura, I'm a Kiss freak, right?
Oh, no.
Like, I notice weird things that probably the average person wouldn't notice.
Yeah, the kids were just telling you a little while ago. How do you know that? How do you remember that?
I don't know.
Crazy.
But anyways, once again, and I didn't see the unmasking in 1983 live on MTV, but what I do notice is that if you watch the one that's on Kissology and all over YouTube, there are all pictures from Creatures of the Night shown of the band member, and then it shows their face unmasked. What was shown on the Kisstory documentary shows a different picture of each member, and they're from all over the board. Eric is from The Elder. Obviously, Vinny Creatures is the only one he could be in. Paul was from Unmasked, and Gene was from Unmasked. So I don't know if that was what it really was. I don't know if they edited it for the for this documentary. I don't know why they would do that, but that definitely stood out to me. Now, one part that I know that probably stood out to you, because I remember talking to you about it as it was playing, what about all the hair bands? That was kind of cool when they showed all the hair bands, I mean, they talked about Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Great White, and I was even shocked that so here's some things, predictions we made, and here's things that we were wrong about. So I said, well, geez, people are worried about them not showing the Love Gun album cover. They're not going to show the Asylum album cover or talk about Asylum, but they actually did. I was kind of surprised that they actually acknowledged Asylum, and Crazy Nights and those albums. I kind of thought they'd blow right past them. Don't you think they did a pretty good job with the usage of the time? Because they crammed a lot in, but I feel like they covered a lot. They didn't skip over a lot.
They did cram a lot in, but I think they gave ample amount of time to each thing that they should have been covering.
So here's another thought, and you probably won't agree with me on this.
I always agree with you.
Yeah, okay. I think that Volume 1 told a better story, okay? And here's where I'm going.
Oops, sorry.
What the hell? So here's one thought that I had, and like I agree with you. I think I liked Volume 2 better, but when it comes to the story, I think the first one told a better story. And
I think they were pretty much equal.
I felt like there was some drama in the beginning, because it's like, here it is, this band trying to make it, the manager's borrowing money from loan sharks. It's a dire situation. All of a sudden, boom, they hit big and it pops, and and they're superstars and they're living their dreams. I don't know. I just felt more like it was more of a cool story, more of a dramatic story. You get to the second one, and I think we've gotten so much crammed into it. It's kind of hard to tell much of a dramatic story. This guy left. This guy came in. We took the makeup off. We put the makeup. You know what I mean? I felt like we blew through it too fast.
How could it really be dramatic though when you know every single detail? I mean, you know everything.
I give you an example. This is one thing they might not have wanted to admit, but Kiss themselves, their careers were in pretty much dire straits again before they put the makeup back on with Ace and Peter. They could have played into that and made it more dramatic to get the other members back. And they didn't. I just think there was a couple moments that they really could have enhanced the story and the drama, and it just wasn't there. It was just more of a
Once
straight.
again, time restrictions though.
Yeah, maybe, but I think you could have blown through some of the stuff. I don't know how necessary some of it was, but that's just me. Okay, here's another thing we talked about. We said maybe we'll be in this,
No,
Did we not say that?
Oh, here we yeah.
and what happened? I was in
Lo
it.
and behold, here comes Mike walking through with the dynasty suit on.
So if
He's like, there I am.
it was
The
crazy,
kids and I are like, oh my gosh.
and we even got the Gene Simmons retweet on the tweet. So
and
that
A&E.
A&E liked it, yeah. So that comes from, if you've ever seen it, it comes from the Kiss Loves You documentary. So let's go back. I mean, I had played in some tribute bands, and actually at that time I was trying to get a Dynasty tribute band going. It just
I remember
never.
that costume being a pain in the neck.
That costume was a major.
I had
pain
to
in the
keep
ass.
helping you try to
Right.
fix it up. And
So I was 18 years old. I built that costume all myself, and
goes to show you how long I've been putting up with them, everybody.
so I wore it to that convention. It was the Kiss Expo, the New Jersey Kiss Expo, and there was people recording stuff, and I remember them saying to me, "Hey, can you walk, toward the camera?" And of course, I'm gonna walk like Gene. I tried to do my best Phantom of the Park type walk when he's like the robot Gene or whatever. But so that was '95. That went for years. Like I never knew what happened with that, and I want to say just within the past few months or so. I was skimming through that Kiss Loves You documentary, and I found myself, and it was so cool. It's kind of like a blast from the past, they're like, wow, I remember doing that, and now here it is all these years later looking at it. And then for them to throw it into the documentary last
You
night,
are stoked.
I was pretty stoked. So that was really cool. I was very appreciative and very stoked about that. Well, there was another thing that I had never heard about, which, I mean, obviously I assumed happened, but like the whole story where Paul got his ear fixed in in 82 or 83. I had never heard that before. So that's a little something different. But for the most part, I feel like I knew pretty much everything.
Hold on, the UFO show is starting. Wait a second.
But here's something interesting. Okay, so we talked about how fairly we thought Ace and Peter were being treated. Now, I think in the first one. This second one, I really think that Ace and Peter really, once again, they may deserve all the heat, but they're really getting shown in a negative light here. Don't you think so?
Probably would have been much worse had they had not edited it. Don't you think? Like we mentioned in the last.
I don't know. I feel like in this one they actually edited it to a way to make them look as bad as they could, because I feel like
I don't know. I think they could have made them
really,
look much
because I
worse.
think that I think Paul and Gene pretty much want you to, and I'm not trying to say this is right or wrong. I'm just they want you to see their side of it. I mean, when they talk about, I've heard that a million times. Peter wants tinfoil over his windows, and you can't do this. Like he was it had to be tough to deal with. So I think they wanted to paint that picture that these guys, even that's another example of where I feel like they could have used more drama and say, well, oh, here we are. We're right back in the same boat we were as in the 70s. And I know that they were trying to get at that, but I just didn't get that vibe super strong from this. You know what I mean? Got anything? Why are you here?
Wait to watch my UFO show here.
Why are you here? Another thing that I thought was cool was when they were
Wait a minute. You always say this isn't going to be long. This is only going to be a few minutes. Once Metal Mike gets talking, it is over.
Yeah, you don't want to get me talking about Kiss. Another cool thing that you don't see much about on other different Kiss docs was they really did talk about how it was kind of painful getting rid of Eric and Bruce because they were such good band members. I thought that was kind of cool. And just kind of say that, like, Bruce took it pretty well, but Eric took it kind of hard. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. But Bruce, I mean, I obviously don't know a whole lot about him, but he seems like a more lax guy and just easygoing.
Here's another thing that the whole thing I think does, and I think this is the whole point of it, is it just kind of reminds you of, like, your life. You know what I'm talking about? Like, your life following Kiss. And it just reminds me of, like, this.
I feel like that's been my life for 27 years now.
It's like a big part of your life, and you're reminded of all of it. And the whole thing is, like, you realize, for me, it's like what a Kiss nerd I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even to be in the documentary in a costume, it's like I busted my ass and built this freaking crazy costume, and I wore it, and I acted like this guy walking around. I mean, that's pretty. I don't know. It's questionable. You know what I mean? But it's like it's something that you do because you're so obsessed with this band. I mean, it just shows that like as fans, we've taken this to like very high levels, and Kiss are an interesting band, and I think
yes, because when we first started dating, obviously I was listening to Kiss before we started dating, but then you really started getting me into the band. And I just remember walking in your bedroom one time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, especially that Kiss clock. That was crazy, and you still have that.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm not partnering with. I partnered with a lot of my Kiss merchandise,
Yeah.
but I'm not getting rid of my 1980 Kiss clock. But yeah, I mean, I think it just reminds us of how much this band means to us, and it reminds us of these conventions we went to, and concerts we went to, and albums we bought, and all the different eras and phases and members of this thing. It really is. It's really a mammoth band. I mean, there's just a lot of history there, a lot of history.
I remember at the New York City Kiss convention, I went up to Gene, and I had the picture of you dressed as him, and I handed it to him to sign, and I said, "That's the best looking Gene Simmons you'll ever see." And all he said was, Whatever.
The craziest thing that I don't know how everybody remembers something different, but to me, I just remember them at that convention. It was just like a sea of people surrounding all of them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember bodyguards or anything really being there. I just remember just a sea of people converging on these guys, and it was just so. It was so crazy, so many of these things. It's just crazy stuff. People could have said at the time, "You're nuts going to that Kiss convention, paying $150 but I'm glad I did. It was really cool. You know what I mean? It's a memory that we'll always have that we went to.
I think every
convention.
member of Kiss that we've ever met was really, they were very friendly, nice, except for Ace.
Yeah, well, we'll give him. We'll see him New Year's Eve. He'll be all right. He's a little hard boiled. But yeah, so okay, we've rambled on, talked about a lot of stuff. Oh no, here comes one.
Hey, Ronnie Stevenson, welcome to the Metalcast. How we doing tonight, brother?
It's completely unacceptable. So last night you gave part 1 a 9. What will you give this one?
I'm thinking a 10.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they did all they could do with it, and everything was portrayed perfectly the way it should have been.
I guess I'm gonna go. And I know I said I liked this one better, but it's like I said, it's more because of the nostalgia of being more coherent through this era and being really hardcore into Kiss through this era. I'm gonna give it an 8. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to give this one an 8 because I just don't think the storytelling was there. I feel like there was too much crammed in, and we're ramming through, this guy did this. I just don't think there was enough time to tell a real, solid story or a dramatic story. So that's why I give it an 8. But it was awesome, and I loved all the little. I kind of call these clips. They're like sprinkles or whipped cream putting on your dessert. It's just a little.
What are you, Paul Stanley? Analogies there.
It's like winning the lotto and complaining about the taxes. So, no, I really feel like that. It was just nice. Like I said, it's just that you're hearing the Kiss story and you're seeing those little things sprinkled on there. But what about the very end? I mean, I think there was some definite heartfelt talking from Gene and Paul, kind of looking at this thing as it's coming to an end. Do you think that was legitimate?
It was so dramatic too when they were talking about how Paul had to go to the hospital to have his ear worked on, and
so
then
there
Gene
was some moments,
took that crazy plane to go see him and all.
Yeah. And then last but not least, we got to mention Eric Carr. I think they did a good job with Eric Carr. I know people say that there was trouble in the Kiss camp with him, and I don't think that would have helped the story any. I think they really honored him and showed him in a positive light. I don't think any of that other stuff, saying that him and Paul didn't speak during the last tour or whatever, I don't know if that would have really added anything positive to the story. So I think they handled it pretty well, the whole Eric Carr thing. Well, hey, guys, that's it for this one. Let us know what you think of it in the comments. But, like I said, once again, it was a great documentary, and once again, it ramped up our love for this band, and I'm sure we'll all be tweeting about it and talking about it for weeks to come. So, as always, rock on! Lori, what do you say?
Now we could go watch our UFO Pentagon show here.
Frig the UFO. See ya!